Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show with your lineman Smith. Today is a beautiful day. Like every other day, I am so pleased when individuals reach out and want to share their stories to the masses. Today is no different. I am pleased to have in studio by way of Zoom a young man who I saw his social media post and was truly taken away that he would be so willing to open up to the massive about the pain and the obstacles that he's overcome. Welcome to the Andre the Beast Crayton Show, Jason Jackson Jr. Welcome to the show, big guy.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's get right down to it. We talked a little bit, and I was like, you know what? That's just going to get this show off the ground and get going. Tell the viewers who Jason Jackson Jr. actually is.
I'm just a kid from a small town, man, trying to live out in my purpose. I come from DeKalb, Texas, which is in Northeast Texas. Went to school and played football in Southeast Arkansas. Had a great time there. And, other than hunting, fishing, and loving every day, this is just kind of what I do, trying to be the person that God has called me to be and help others get closer to him, and also just motivate them on their journeys, because I know how hard it gets, and, to have a little spurt of inspiration along the journey can definitely be a difference maker.
You played football. Is football big in, I know it's big in Texas. What made you go to Arkansas to play? Why not stay in Texas?
Arkansas was just a place, the school that I went to, they had a history of winning. The culture there was great. I never actually thought that I would end up there. I actually toured as just going to visit as a student when I was about 15 years old, and I ended up there years later. But the winning history, I think we finished my senior year number 4 in the nation. And, there were some upsides, there were some downsides, but really the community and the camaraderie that we had as a team was something I would never trade.
You said there was some upsides and some downsides. What was let's start with the upside.
The upside was just going out every day and competing with your brothers, going to win and building the relationships. When I came in, my coach said that if you're looking for a place to come to where you can play and, build a 4-year relationship, this is not the place for you. It's a place where you're going to build 40-year relationships. And he was definitely right when he said that, because, football was the fun part, but the most memorable part was just being able to have some guys that I can still call on today, have coaches that I can call on today, and know that they have my back with everything that I'm going through.
Speaking of going through, I saw the post, we talked. I couldn't wait to have you come on the show and really impact individuals with your story. When did your life begin to change?
6 months ago. 6 months ago is whenever my life began to change.
Explain to the viewers a little bit about that.
Whenever I graduated college in December, it was just a rough time for me, because I had always had that community around me, the football players, the coaches, the people coming up to you, where you feel welcome, you feel like you have that community. And then when I moved to Houston after I graduated college, it was just, things were different. You're getting adjusted to life, 21 years old. I had no family, no friends there. And I was just going through a bit of depression. One thing that's important to note is, with chasing my dreams and following my dreams, I wasn't hesitant in giving up something that I didn't feel like was for me. I moved to Houston to start a job. Everyone was so excited for me and proud of me, because that's just kind of the American way. Whenever you get to a certain level, they expect you to graduate college and go get a good job and retire at 65 years old, and you've lived a great life.
Right.
And I didn't see that for myself. I was like, this is
That
not.
sounds really cliche, doesn't it? Like everyone,
Yes.
what do you want out of life? Well, I want to have a good job, good house, and die at 65.
Right. Yeah. No, it wasn't for me. So I started my job January 9th, and I quit my job January 23rd with no type of supporting income, nothing. It was just like, all right. I tell people all the time that I believe in God and I trust that He gonna make a way for me. All right, God, let's see it. And everybody called me crazy. They questioned why I was doing what I was doing. And I would say not even 3 weeks later is whenever my life began to change. And that's whenever I took things to social media. And
so let's go back for a minute. A lot of people don't have that ability to do that. You're always supposed to have something before you quit your job. You took a flying leap. What was that precise moment that you said, I'm done?
I was sitting in the office one day, well, several days, but the one day was like, okay, yeah, this, I'm not doing this. I was sitting in there and, they were assigning me work. The work that I was doing wasn't hard. I was sending emails all day. It would be like 12, 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. And here I am, I'm 21 years old. I'm coming from being very active, being, kind of a social butterfly in a sense, just being an athlete on campus and stuff. And I'm like I'm looking at them and they're like just almost like robots. And I'm like, there's no way that y'all actually like do this.
You're
Like,
definitely in the matrix now.
yeah,
You
I was just
woke
looking
up,
around.
Neil.
Like, man, there's no way that y'all wake up every day and like tell yourselves, I have to come, there's nothing else I can do. And so once I just stopped working, like, and I was just looking at people and seeing how they were working. I
Yeah.
was like, there's no way that y'all think I'm gonna get to this level. Like, there's no way I'm gonna allow myself to get to this point. So
Hey, Jason, check this out. What was the what was the advancement role there? Like, okay, you're doing emails and everybody's like, hey Neil, they're all passing out the envelopes. What was the next level? Manager of the second level of emails? Like, what was the advancement process there?
it was like you would go from sending the emails to processing the emails. And I was like, what? Like it made no sense to
Licking
me.
the stamps.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I got to find something different. So
Right.
that I went home. I left work early that day. I'm not gonna lie. I did lie. I was like, I'm feeling a little sick. Went home early. Then that was it. They never saw me again. I think some of them actually follow me on social media now, and we weren't very close then, but I guess they found out who I was or what I was doing now. So that's how that happened.
They're checking their phone. Neil, go to the elevator now.
Yeah. Yep.
So then what happens? Okay, you get that inspiration and you walk out and you don't have a support. That's scary. What do you do now?
Yeah, it's very scary. I mean, it always feels good whenever you have the idea right away. I feel like that's with anything. Whenever you have that spur of the moment idea, like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna go all in with it, and I know something gonna happen. That's how I felt. January 23rd, I felt like that. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be good, blah blah blah. Didn't know what to expect. I was like, I'm gonna get into real estate. Got into real estate. Never made a sale. Never did anything. And I was like, all right, this is not it. Like I was literally making no money. Um, all I had was a credit card that was about maxed out. And so I was down, man. I was like, okay, now maybe I never said like I should go back to that job, but I
I
was
was
like,
just
maybe,
getting ready to ask that because that was already messed up to begin with. So
right. I never had that idea. I never had that thought, but I did say there was a time when I was like, maybe you should have waited a little longer. But right when that moment came, right when those ideas came into my head, that's whenever I began to see my life start to change. And the way that it started changing was the craziest thing ever. I mentioned to you that I would go on TikTok, and if you scroll down on my page, I don't delete them for a reason. I haven't even went back and watched them yet because I want to kind of give it some time to resonate because I still don't realize that I am where I am yet.
yeah,
Uh, but February 2nd, I think I made my first TikTok video. And I was just talking myself through a situation, talking myself through that situation where I really didn't know what was next. I was just depressed. I had no money. I had no friends. Nobody was there that I could call on and just go to for support. And I was just talking to myself, making video diaries to see, look back on later, like, man, you did get through it. Like everything gonna be all right whenever something else comes up. And the very video that I started talking about my relationship with God and how God would supply for me, that video changed my life, and my life has not been the same since that night.
really. Let's go back for a minute. You shared something that was really profound.
Mhm.
And trust me, my heart goes out to you because I wish everybody had that ability to say, this isn't for me.
Yeah,
I have friends, trust me, that work in high profile companies and they hate their jobs.
right.
They do it because it's money. I'm like, That's the only reason why you go, because it's money. Well, I want to retire at 65. What's to say you're gonna live at 65?
Right.
You did it at a young age, but you did it with a risk, but you shared with me something impactful. You didn't have a support group. Where was your mom, your dad, and your siblings during this time of trouble, that you didn't reach out to them, or where are they in your life?
So I come from a single mother household, a single parent household. My mother raised me and my brothers, had some help from the community and my grandparents as well. My father was actually incarcerated. So he was sentenced to life, 20 years to life in prison the day that I started crawling. I was 9 months old. It was April 2nd, 2002. And he had recently just got out, September of 2022. So I was 21 years old. And it's not that they weren't there, but it was almost to the point as well, my dad just now getting out of prison. There was nothing that he could really do for me. He wasn't on his feet yet. My mother, we've kind of struggled all of our lives to just try to make ends meet. My mom went from at one point making, this is not me saying it's wrong, $300 a month and providing for herself and her kids. And
That is crazy.
yeah, I didn't know that until I was probably 20 years old. And I say that like that's a long time ago, 2 years ago to
Yeah,
this.
yeah, 2 years.
But so I didn't really have any support. There was like I could reach out to them, but the only thing that they could give me was what I was giving myself, and that was kind of some comforting words. So I just had to kind of find something that was bigger than me and that was bigger than why I was doing it. And as far as friends and my brothers, my brothers, my brothers are younger. I have one older brother, but he's just a year older than I am, and
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. The only thing that we've ever known was it ain't gonna rain forever. The sun got to shine again. Just keep going, keep your head down, keep pushing. So, and I can tell myself that. So that's just kind of how I had to deal with it and get through it.
When you hear that your mom took care of you guys with $300 a month, what goes through your mind? How do you change your mindset? You already dealing with shit already. Let's be real.
Mhm.
Now to hear that, how do you focus from that moment on? How do you change your mindset now?
It really went from like, okay, if she can make it off of $300 a month with kids and herself and bills and a car and all of this, I'm like, okay, I know that I can get through this. Like this is nothing compared to that, and I had to really hone in and just tell myself, if you want to make a different life for yourself and make sure that your kids and your mom in general never have to go through that ever again, you got to start taking a step today to make that difference. And that's whenever I really started to begin to see my life change. But it started with the discipline and knowing that sometimes you may not know where you're going,
Mhm.
but you know where you don't want to go. So you just
Yeah.
do what you need to do to not go to that place, and you find yourself somewhere else. So I had to do that. That's what I had to do.
You share with me the impact of your father, and I thought that was very touching. The fact that you was still in contact with your dad throughout his incarceration. Um, he's still in your life right now, but you shared with me something I thought was really strange. The crime that your father committed, you had to attend school with the victim. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, my father was um he was incarcerated on a murder charge, and at the time, obviously, I was very young, and my teacher at the time, her name is Miss Ruthie Ford, and we spoke, and she doesn't mind her name being mentioned, but she she was her brother was the person that was murdered in that case. And I didn't know that growing up. I didn't know that until I was about 18 years old, and my mother told me, and I would have never known because she treated me like I was one of her own kids.
Mm.
And it just kind of, when my mom told me, it kind of made me sit back and reflect a little bit, because just thinking about me being Jason Jackson Jr., my dad being Jason Jackson, and having a traumatic experience like that, where whenever you see a name, it could just kind of automatically
Yeah.
trigger, those emotions and those feelings that you had whenever you first see that name. So um, it just kind of made me realize, like, you never really know what somebody is going through, and the power of just people, the power of love, man, because she really, like I said, I never would have known. And she told my mom that she would make sure that I was taken care of, and she wouldn't, hold anything against me because it wasn't anything that I did. It wasn't my decision. I'm just here. So she made sure that I was taken care of for sure.
That is beautiful. So your dad was still inspirational to you throughout his incarceration by, and people don't understand. We look at it like, okay, your dad has to be there physically, but you was there to see your dad. Your dad still was there as a role model for you moving forward. Now that he's home, I'm glad he's home. I'm glad you guys are back together. What's the relationship like with your father? And then we'll go back to the story of your coming out of your job and going to another part. Trying to give people indication of the support cast and that there was none there. Now they're starting to become there, and you're starting to evolve.
Right. Um, our relationship now is great. We contact each other, reach out to each other all the time, and he does get on me sometimes because with how life is now, it's just kind of hard to get to my phone. I actually had to get another phone just so I could kind of separate the two. But yeah, we're good. I'm actually going to see him this Thursday because I got to go speak in Houston. But yeah, that's my guy, man. He always makes sure that I'm good and make sure that I kind of doing the right things, even with how fast life is moving.
I like that. So let's go back to you quit the job, the no support cast. You're trying to make a difference. I get it. You're trying to make a difference. You've seen the stuff that your mom went through. You've seen now how it is to try to go with $300, and she did it. Take us down that road. Keep going.
Yeah, so I would say it was the day I remember the exact day. It was February 6th of 2023. And that's when I hit the lowest, that's when I hit rock bottom, man. Like I was trying to, motivate myself through it and talk through it and hey, everything gonna be all right, just every day.
Right.
And whenever you finally have to sit in and face reality, like it ain't a lot that words can do for you. You just you gotta
In
take it on.
there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Been there.
I I had that moment, and that's whenever I told myself, okay, you got two options. You can either stay down and
Yep.
let life beat up on you, or you could get up and have the greatest comeback from anybody in your family history. So, and I'm not one of those guys, man, that's just gonna, just take a beating just because, I gotta fight when I can. So,
Right.
I couldn't just walk away from the situation, but until I could get up on my feet, I had to crawl to the door or something till I could get my footing back. So that's what really helped me out.
So when you what door did you crawl through first? What was the opening moment that changed the direction in your life? Outside of your mind, what doors actually opened up for you?
Yeah, the like I mentioned, that first video that I made, I had really got close to God during that point in my life, and I was like, I feel like I've tried everything I could try. God, I've done everything that I can do, and it obviously ain't working. I've tried real estate. These people talking to me, they bringing in $30,000 checks. I'm like, God, I don't even have $30, like, so.
Did you
um,
feel like asking them for some gas money?
Man, there were times when I wanted to, man, but I was like, nah. One thing that really helped me was the idea of I don't want to ask nobody. You could say it's prideful, but the way that I was looking at it wasn't pride in my eyes because I just knew that something was gonna come from it. Like I was saying, I don't want to ask nobody for help because whenever I do get there, wherever there is, I won't be able to give anybody else but God credit for it. That was my
I
mindset
like
going in.
that. Yeah, yeah.
So, man, I had to tough it out for a long time though. Like literally until just 2 months ago, I was in that same position the whole time. Nobody knew. Like nobody knew on social media. You got hundreds of thousands of followers and nobody knows that I don't know where my next meal is coming from. I had June 10th, I had $0 in my bank account. Like, and I'm talking about I'm down completely broke, nothing. And I'm just praying, praying, praying. I'm like, man, something got to shake, something got to shake. And like I said, I have hundreds of thousands of followers at this point. And I was like, people just think because you have followers, you rich and all of that. I did not have any money at that time. I actually had $0 to my name.
Isn't it amazing how we now, you're only in your 20s, but look how we classify our self-worth,
Right.
through a social media, through likes, followers, subscribes, and nobody knew. Now you got all these followers, but nobody knows what the hell you're going through right now. So
Exactly.
just imagine if, but then you put it out there, then what happens?
Um, so that was June 10th. June, 10 days later, I was like, okay, I don't have, I love speaking. I love being able to help and motivate and inspire people. But I was like, I got to take this thing to the next level. I got to find something that I can do. And that's whenever I began to see those changes come in. And so 10 days later, I was like, well, over the course of that time, I was saying to myself, you have to make a business decision to make money doing this. It can't just be I'm doing this for fun, that's fine, but you in a position right now where you can't have fun yet. You got to make some money, because if you don't, you ain't gonna be able to do nothing. Man, 10 days later, I woke up, I had 5 figures in my bank account, and it's just been up from there, because I was like, I made the decision, like, okay, yeah, this is what you got to do. And
How do you get 5 figures in your bank account overnight like that?
it was just kind of me acknowledging my worth, because I was giving away a lot of free game, like just a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff for free. Like when you go on my Instagram, you go on TikTok, whatever I'm saying, it's like you don't have to pay anything. All you got to do is have an account. And then people wanted to, they wanted to have sit down one-on-one conversations with me, whether it be over the internet or in person. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it for $20. And then I started thinking, I'm like, dude, no, you could go find $20 somewhere. You're not gonna find another meet. That's the type of mindset that I had to have. So
So you had to change your
yeah,
whole concept of your worth.
yes, because I had to start approaching it as a business, because that's essentially what I am. I'm my own business, and if I wanna eat, then I got to make some money off of my name. So I began to say, okay, this is if you want this is what I'm doing, and I apologize if the prices are too high, but I understand the value of what I'm bringing to you, and this is what it is. So that's how it started taking off from there, and brands and people just started contacting me, and I would throw out a price, and they'd be like, well, I don't think that you, and I'm like, well, you should go find somebody else. So, and they would be like, okay, we want to stay, just trying to negotiate you to get a lower price.
You
Yeah.
know, so how let's go back to your dad for a minute. Like, how is he adjusting? What are you teaching him about the new social media platforms and how to, get his career off the ground? You got your career back off the ground. How do you take him to the next level?
He he's not a big social media guy. He don't really, I don't know if he understands what's going on. He'll like somebody will show him one of my videos every now and then, and he'll text me or call me about it and be like, hey boy, I saw the video that you posted, blah blah blah. But I don't think he really too much cares. He just trying to like make sure his yard look good, make sure the house is good, everything like that. So he not really too big into social media.
What do you tell individuals that was in your situation? The way I look at it is you're too young to really have problems. You know what I mean? But that's not true. Anybody can have problems. But what do you tell someone that might have been in your shoes? How do they what would you tell them to overcome that? What kept you being strong?
My faith in God, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has been everything for me. That's the only way that I can say I made it through, because I didn't have nobody. I didn't have a friend that I could call when I was down. I didn't have anyone that I could just rely on and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. What advice do you have? But another thing is, you never think that it can't be you. And I feel like that always leaves you at a humble mindset. And people like to think about that from a negative perspective, like never think you can't be the one that's broke or sad or whatever, but also never think that you can't be the one that's up, you the one that's happy, because I don't care what position you are in. I don't care where you are right now and what things are looking like. You could have $1 billion today. That everything could be gone tomorrow. You know, you could be on a platform. You could have all the followers. You could have all the money, and you could be the brokest person in the world just because you don't even have a support system around you, and you know you're feeling alone when you have all of these followers. So, um, never think that it can't be you, because nothing lasts forever. Everything is temporary. Even when somebody has a beautiful reign and everybody is praising them, it won't last forever. I'm not saying that they'll fall to rock bottom, but that nothing lasts forever. So whether it be the glory or the reign, everything passes in
With
a
all
little
that
while.
you went through, what were the three things? What were the three things that you looked at in your life and you said, I've overcome these three things?
I overcame a poverty mindset. That was the biggest thing, which was feeling like I didn't have enough even when I had enough. You know, certain times I would have enough money to go buy groceries, but I would go like buy bologna and be like, nah, this will make me last, because I need to make sure that I have enough just in case. And it's like, you know, you got to get out of that mindset, or you'll forever be there, and it'll be like a generational curse. Everyone under you will start thinking like that too. And you know, life is meant to be lived. You got to experience what living is like. You can't just exist. And so that was the biggest one. Another thing that I did, I feel as though I overcame, was being able to have those real conversations with people. Growing up in a community that I grew up in, and I feel like it's very prominent in the Black community, is you don't talk about your feelings. Like, you don't talk about your emotions. If you're feeling something, if you're going through something, hey, you gotta tough that out, and you know, we're gonna pray about it. And most of the time they're not even praying for you. So you just gotta, I had to be able to come to myself and say, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to have those days where you know, things just don't feel right.
Right.
That was another big one. And finally, I would say I overcame myself. And once I overcame myself, everything else started falling into place, because I didn't realize the abilities and the capabilities that I had until I was put in a position where I had to use them. And once I overcame that, I was like, not in an arrogant or cocky way, but you're
Once
gonna
you
have
got
to.
out the matrix, you was good to go.
Oh yeah, that was it. That's all I needed, man. That's all I needed.
So what's next? The future looks bright. Tell the viewers what's next for you.
Yeah, so going forward, I'll be kind of going into more long form videos on YouTube and stuff. I'll still be posting on Instagram and TikTok, but I'll be going to YouTube, just kind of putting out some more beneficial content, longer content that people can engage with, kind of showing them through my life. And I'll also be dropping a podcast here pretty soon. I'm looking at about the December start date for my first episode, and it'll be centered around some of the people's favorite athletes in the world, and just talking about their life outside of sports, and you know what they do to decompress, and things that everybody deals with, not just you see on TV.
Right. How can the viewers reach you?
You can reach me via email, djasonjacksonjr@gmail.com. You could also reach out to my Instagram as well. I don't have my TikTok DMs open because people kind of be talking crazy on there sometimes, but those two ways are the primary ways to reach me.
Okay. Leave the viewers with something something inspirational.
One thing I could say is this, man. Whatever you're going through right now, whatever you've been through, and whatever you're going to go through, I promise you it's all for the better. If you can find the good in it, I promise it'll take you further than further than the bad could take you. So you could take 100 losses, 50 losses, 1,000 losses, and all you need is that one win to set you up for the rest of your life. So no matter how bad it looked right now, no matter how much you've been losing, all you got to do is win once, and I promise you everything is going to be up from there.
Hey, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great interview. Appreciate you, brother, coming on the show. Anything we can do to help spread your message, we're here to do that. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton